It was supposed to be the happiest day of their lives. David and Angela Williams, a young black couple in their early 30s, had finally saved enough to buy their dream home. Years of sacrifice, late nights, extra shifts, and unshakable faith had led them here, to a beautiful house in a quiet suburban neighborhood. But happiness has a way of drawing out envy, and not everyone was ready to welcome them. As the moving truck pulled up the driveway, their smiles could light up the street. Angela clutched David's hand, whispering, "We made it, baby. We really made it." Then, the sound of heels clicking across the pavement. A figure appeared. Mrs. Patterson. Late 50s, pale-skinned, sharp features, eyes cold as stone. She was the kind of woman who thought the neighborhood belonged to her. The kind who didn't need authority, because she thought she was authority. She crossed her arms, blocking their driveway. "You're not allowed here," she spat. "This is a private community. People like you don't belong." The words cut deep. Angela froze. David clenched his jaw, trying to keep calm. He spoke softly. "Ma'am, this is our home. We just bought it." But Mrs. Patterson smirked. "No, you didn't. You can't afford this house. I've lived here 20 years, and I won't let you ruin it. I'm calling security, and the HOA, and the police if I have to." Her voice dripped with venom. Neighbors peeked from their windows, whispering. Some shook their heads, others looked away. Angela's eyes filled with tears. All they wanted was peace, a chance to live like everyone else. But here they were, humiliated on their very first day. Mrs. Patterson pulled out her phone. "You have 5 minutes to leave before I make this official." David took Angela's hand and whispered, "Stay calm. She doesn't know who she's dealing with." Because behind his quiet demeanor, David carried a truth, one that would change everything. As the moving men hesitated, Mrs. Patterson raised her voice louder. "Don't touch another box. These people are trespassing." Angela's chest tightened. She wanted to scream, to fight back, but David's steady hand on hers kept her grounded. "Baby, trust me," he whispered. Sometimes silence is louder than shouting. But Mrs. Patterson mistook his silence for weakness. She smirked again, pacing in front of their driveway like a guard dog. "You think you can just walk into this neighborhood? No, not while I'm here. I'll make sure every single neighbor knows exactly who you are." Angela couldn't hold it anymore. "Exactly who we are?" she snapped. "We're homeowners. We work for this. We earned this." Mrs. Patterson sneered. "Not in my neighborhood. You don't belong." The tension was thick, the kind that makes every second feel like a lifetime. Then, the sound of another car pulling up broke the silence. A sleek black SUV rolled in, stopping just behind the moving truck. The door opened. Out stepped a man in his 60s, tall, distinguished, wearing a crisp suit. His presence alone shifted the air. Mr. Harrison, head of the Homeowners Association. The man everyone in the neighborhood answered to. And more importantly, the man who had approved David and Angela's application himself. Mrs. Patterson straightened up, her smugness turning into fake sweetness. "Oh, Mr. Harrison, thank goodness you're here. We've got trespassers. I was just about to call you." Mr. Harrison raised a brow. "Trespassers?" "Yes," she said confidently. "These people are trying to move into the Williams home. I told them they don't belong here." But Mr. Harrison's expression hardened. "They are the Williams family." The silence that followed was deafening. Angela gasped softly. David held his head high. Mrs. Patterson's smile faltered. "What? That can't be." Mr. Harrison cut her off, voice stern. "They signed the papers last week. They're official homeowners. And you, Mrs. Patterson, are out of line." The crowd of neighbors that gathered now whispered louder. Some nodded in support of David and Angela. Others exchanged guilty glances for staying silent. But Mrs. Patterson wasn't done. She laughed nervously, trying to regain control. There must be some mistake. People like them, they can't possibly. "Enough." Mr. Harrison's voice boomed. "Not only do they belong here, but Mr. Williams happens to be the new vice president of the Community Development Board. He outranks even me in decisions that affect this neighborhood." The revelation hit like thunder. Angela covered her mouth in shock. David finally spoke, calm but firm. You said we didn't belong. But the truth is, we're here to build, not destroy. And no one, not even you, will stop us. Mrs. Patterson's face turned red. The power she thought she had evaporated instantly. Her voice trembled. This isn't over. She turned, storming back toward her house. But everyone knew it was over. Or at least they thought it was. Because later that night, as David and Angela unpacked the last of their boxes, a note was slipped under their door. Scrawled in messy handwriting, it read, "Leave now or you'll regret it." Angela's hands shook as she held the paper. David took it from her, his jaw tightening. This wasn't just about prejudice anymore. It was about power. And whoever left that note was ready to fight dirty. The Williams family had won the first battle, but the war for their peace was just beginning. Because Angela's hands trembled as she held the note. "Leave now or you'll regret it." Her eyes widened, her voice shaking. "David, what if they mean it? What if someone tries to hurt us?" David gently pulled her close, steady but stern. "No one is running us out of our own home. Not after everything we sacrificed for this." But deep down he knew this wasn't just idle words. This was a threat. That night they barely slept. Every sound outside felt louder. Every creak in the house made Angela flinch. And through the blinds, David spotted shadows moving where they shouldn't be. The next morning, it got worse. When they stepped outside, they found their mailbox smashed, the wooden post cracked in half. Spray painted across the side of their garage were 3 chilling words. "Go back home." Angela covered her mouth in horror. Tears filled her eyes. "This is our home," she whispered. Neighbors walked by, pretending not to notice. Others glanced, then quickly looked away. Only one older man, Mr. Lewis, the retired teacher who lived 2 houses down, stopped and shook his head. "Shameful," he muttered. "I saw someone near your house late last night. White SUV. Drove off quick when I stepped outside." David thanked him, anger boiling in his chest. Enough was enough. He called Mr. Harrison, the head of the HOA, who had stood up for them before. But to his surprise, Harrison's tone was different this time. "David, I sympathize, I really do, but some of the neighbors are already complaining. They're saying your presence is creating tension. I suggest you lay low, maybe even consider selling." David's grip tightened on the phone. "Selling? We just got here." "I'm just saying," Harrison sighed. "Sometimes it's easier to avoid conflict than to stir it." The line went dead. Angela looked at David, fear in her eyes. "They want us gone. Even the people who pretended to be on our side." But David wasn't about to give up. He had worked too hard, fought too many battles, to let hate win this one. That evening, he walked into the neighborhood board meeting. Whispers filled the room as he entered. Some looked surprised he showed up. Others looked annoyed. Mrs. Patterson sat near the front, her smug smile back on her face. Well, she muttered. "Didn't think you'd last a week." David ignored her, taking his seat. When the meeting began, Harrison tried to brush past the vandalism issue, but David stood up. "My family was threatened, our home vandalized, and if this board does nothing, then you are complicit." Gasps echoed through the room. Harrison shifted uncomfortably. "Now, David, let's not escalate." But David's voice rose, filled with passion. "No, this is an escalation. And if this board won't protect its own residents, then I'll take this further. Legally, publicly. Do you really want the world to know what's happening in this so-called peaceful neighborhood?" The room went silent. Even Mrs. Patterson's smile faltered. For the first time, the power shifted. Neighbors who had stayed silent began murmuring in agreement. Mr. Lewis raised his voice from the back. "He's right. Enough is enough. This couple deserves to live here in peace." David felt the momentum swing. For once, he wasn't the underdog. They were listening. But just as hope filled the room, the doors at the back slammed open. 2 uniformed police officers walked in. "Mr. Williams," one of them called out, "you need to come with us." Angela gasped, standing to her feet. "What? Why?" The officer's eyes were cold. "You're being accused of trespassing and fraud. Someone filed a report claiming you falsified documents to buy your home. The room erupted in chaos. Mrs. Patterson's smirk returned, wider than ever. David's heart pounded. He looked at Angela, then at the stunned crowd. This wasn't just harassment anymore. This was war. As the officers stepped closer, handcuffs ready, David locked eyes with Mrs. Patterson. And in that chilling moment, he realized, because one thing was clear, the fight for justice had only just begun. To be continued. Subscribe for part 2.